Hi there everyone, Julie Wilson here. Today I will be showing to you how I painted this red rock.
For the materials, I am using Faber-Castell watercolor pencil, the dark cadmium orange. I use this in outlining red rocks to start with before they paint them. This will give me a neat edges because my hand is kind of like shaky, so sometimes I go over the lines. So this really helps, and in a way I don't need to erase the dark pencils because this one will just dissolve the rest of the colors. I am also using Gold's yellow orange, Gold's burnt amber, Daniel Smith's Pearl Scarlet, and I have this. I am using this as a dropper if in time that I need to drop in some water. In this way I can control the amount of water each drop. And for the brushes, I'm using shaders. I love to use the shaders, especially if I need some fine textures. This one I have the Fine Touch shader number 8, Instant Aqua Elite 1/4 angular shader, Daleroni number 8, Why I have two number 8s or different kinds of shader is because sometimes I dip this into a certain color and in a second I needed to add a darker shade of color, so I just picked up the other brush, then I go back with the other one. It's much quicker and it saves me some pigments from doing a lot of washes then going back to the same color after the other. That makes sense. And I'm also using the Silver Black Velvet number 1 script. This I use in doing details like this one here, this fine lines. So that's what I use this for. And I don't know what's the name of this brush. This came with the rest of a set of fan brushes. I don't know if this is called fan brush. It doesn't look like, but it seems like it's a multi-liner, fine liners. And the number is 1/2 size and doesn't have a brand, so for sure I got this at Walmart. Some cheapy set of brushes, but it really works great, and this is what I used in creating these fine lines, these strokes like a fine hairlines.
So as you can see, I've already added my first wash of wet and wet. I really thought I've already clicked the camera, but seems like I forgot to, or maybe I did, but for some reason something went wrong. But anyway, here I'm showing to you how I did it. I first added clear water and created the wet on wet wash with a very loose watery mixture of water and the yellow orange mission gold pigment. After which I sprinkled the salt on top of the wet parts of the subject. In this painting, I choose to use the fine salt. This will create finer textures compared to the rock salt. The rock salt creates bigger blooms. Also, I forgot to mention to you earlier in which watercolor paper I am using. So I have here the Arch hot pressed watercolor paper in 300 pounds for this painting. Now I'm going in with my yellow gold pigment to create this line using my angular shader brush. Then I will be adding fine details to create the stripes of the rock. I am using this multi-liner brush with the burnt umber of Mission Gold pigment. So with this, I am using a dry brushing technique. Dry brushing technique means you just have to add a little bit of water to your pigment. So it is more of a rich pigment mixture, so that every time you create the strokes, it won't be flowy and it will create pretty strokes like so. I find this multi-liner brush very versatile. As you can see, I am using it to add some strokes on the ground to create added textures by just a little bit of swirling of the brush. You can create a pretty fine textures. And of course, this is still again with the use of the burnt umber of Mission Gold. And here I am adding some fine dots on the rocks, an added effect or texture on this red rock. Just randomly adding these dots. Now I'm going in with a mixture of yellow gold and a little bit of pearl red to add some deeper values to this red rock. Now we will be adding more definitions on the edges of this rock with the use of silver black velvet script liner. I really love to use this brush for this purpose because it could create very fine lines which would add texture to edges of this rock. It takes time to get used to handling this brush though. At first I had a hard time. It's just a matter of getting used to it. Just have to handle it lightly. The more you push, it creates thicker lines, and the lighter you touch the tip on your painting is the finer line you can create. Now with the use of the angular shader brush and the burnt umber mission gold pigment, I am now trying to add darker values on some of the deeper parts of this red rock and to create some shadows. Now I am adding a light wash of the Pale Red pigment. This will bring in some red tone on the rock. I find it too yellow, so I have to bring in another layer of the Pale Red. Now I am adding a stronger wash of the Pale Red. It seems like that first one that I applied was quickly absorbed, and just to add more definition on the red parts of this red rock. And now with the use of the Silver Black Velvet script liner, I am adding in the Pearl Scarlet color to bring in more definitions on the stripe and the edges as well. And for final touches, I almost forgot the top part of this rock, so I'm adding in some fine lines to create more stripes. So here it is now, my red rock and watercolor painting. I hope you guys like this video and will give this a try. If you do, I would love to see your versions of this red rock, which you can share it with me by posting it on my Facebook page, which link is mentioned on the description box below. Please don't forget to click like and subscribe to my channel for more watercolor tutorials. Thank you and see you again on the next one.